Oh my god, there's an echo. It's really bad. Ignore the echo. It's only echoey at the beginning and at the end for like 10 seconds, but that's my acknowledgement for the echo. Okay, video is starting now. What's up, other posers? My name is Easy, aka Gothy Trash Mess, and I'm here to grace your ears and eyeballs with yet another wonderful video. Today, I'm showing you how I made this guy. I don't like long intros, so the intro is done now.
So, about a year ago, I was at a secondhand store and I came across this book called You Can Make a Soft Sculpted Doll, but the title isn't really what caught my eye. It was how garishly creepy the doll on the cover is. I knew I needed to have it, so I handed over my 25 cents and the creepy vintage doll book was mine. The book came out in 1982 and the dolls on the cover have an uncanny resemblance to Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids were these unintentionally frightening dolls that were a big deal in the 80s. In 1893, around Christmas time, riots broke out in big box stores over these dolls. I'm willing to bet that desperate mothers who couldn't get their hands on a Cabbage Patch doll bought one of these books and tried their best. If you know me and you know my art style, you know that the authors of this book would not be fond of what I'm about to create with it. Lucky for me, it gives me a list of everything I need to make the monstrosity of my dreams. But I don't have the right kind of fabric, so let's go get some. I got on the train and dragged myself to Goodwill in an attempt to find some fabric for the doll body. The subway is getting more and more expensive lately, and it scares me, but not as much as Googling how much the chairman of the MTA makes a year does. Anyways, we made it to Goodwill. For fabric sculpting to work properly, I either need a cotton or a lightweight knit, and I need about 1/3 of a yard of fabric to make this. My best bet was a jersey bedsheet, however this Goodwill did not have one, so I ventured elsewhere, but not before debating on buying the shirt because the pattern was so pretty. I don't need it, so I didn't get it, but watching back the footage makes my consumer urges tingle. Thumbs down for Goodwill today. Next, I headed to Industry City. Last time I was there, John had a big important interview, and I found a sick bird, and I had to take him on the train to the bird doctor. The bird doctor killed him. I was very sad. I found my way to the Daiso, but there was a big fat no filming sign, so I snuck these quick clips. I still couldn't find the fabric I needed, but I got this double-sided tape for another project and a few sets of hooks for my gallery wall. After that, I walked around for too many hours and I was getting exhausted, so I ended up in a Primark. I don't love supporting places like Primark, but it was cheap and I'm a bad person now because I like this big shirt that was $4. See, the reason why it's $4 is because you pay partially with money and the rest you pay with the guilt of perpetuating a lovely cycle of financial entrapment. Okay, I'm just gonna shut up now and head back to the studio. I made it back to the studio and I'm alive, which is great. Now it's time to figure out what the hell we're doing. I make a lot of dolls, but I'm not good at following patterns, which is why I usually make my own. When I make my own patterns, I can concoct them into whatever backwards construction I want, and I don't have to worry about if it seems easy to replicate because I usually forget I made the pattern, then find it years later and try to use the pattern again to make another doll and say to myself, I really fucking suck at making patterns. I need to stop. We're not talking about me, we're talking about the pattern in the book. This one seems like it's not going to be too complicated, but looks can definitely be deceiving. I like that it tells me to place the edges of the pattern on the fabric folds because it cuts down on the sewing, which is a relief for me since I like to hand sew most things. So in the book, there are these two doll patterns. One is called the Pretty Baby, and the other is called the Itty Bitty Baby. I went for the bigger one, the Pretty Baby, because I thought the Itty Bitty Baby was going to be really small. Even though the patterns were right in front of me at actual size, something wasn't clicking in my brain, and I didn't realize how fucking gigantic the Pretty Baby is. It must be because different body parts are on different pages, but holy shit, this thing is huge. Once I got it all cut out, I noticed how crude the shapes in the pattern were. It makes sense now since we're soft sculpting, but without the soft sculpting, it would look very odd. Another weird thing that I noticed is that there were no patterns for the head. I got slightly worried because this is an older book and there's a chance that pieces could be missing, but I did something that I don't think I've ever done before, which is actually reading the directions. Apparently, there's not supposed to be a pattern for the head. You just have to cut out a big square and do stuff to it. I don't know what to do or how to do it, and I didn't get that far yet. When I was at Primark, the $4 t-shirt covers were kind of slim pickings, so I went with this rust color, but it kind of reads as a human skin tone, which I'm not a huge fan of. Lately, I've been trying to go in a direction with my dolls where they keep the human form, but don't read exactly as people. I like my dolls to look fleshy, but I like using colors that don't look like a normal skin color, except for blue. Hate using blue, but we're still going to make our guy, and he looks a little too human-like, and that's fine. I'll deal. So, for the head, I guess I'm just supposed to bring the four corners together to form a ball and then stuff the shit out of it until it's firm. This part took me a lot longer than expected, but I got it done. Just don't look at the underside, it's all wrinkly and gross, but I think I'm into it. Next came the soft sculpting. The book said to do the hands first, and they were pretty easy, but I soft sculpt hands all the time. Wow, that sounded conceited. I was going over the optional things you could soft sculpt, and apparently you can soft sculpt nipples, which was odd to me, but it makes sense if you want your doll to be anatomically correct. It also shows you how to make a butt. I skipped both of those parts, but I totally should have made the butt. I kept going with the soft sculpting, and I was feeling good about it until I screwed up on one of the ankles, and it was pretty bad. Now, our poor guy looks like he's got some serious injuries that he never took care of. The wrists and elbows were all fine. Well, fine as in at least partially constructed. Then came the face. The eyes are really bad. I should have just clipped the thread, but at least they weren't as bad as the nose. The nose I don't like at all. The mouth is fine. I like the little wrinkles and the shape that it gives the cheeks. I stopped comprehending the directions, so I just had to wing it. All in all, I screwed up the face big time. Luckily, I'm a painter and I will try my best to fix it later. But for now, we're looking at a really messed up face. I wanted our guy to have old man balding, but old man balding was not a cute little hairstyle that was in the book, which means we had to wing it once again. I used black yarn to make pom-poms that we're going to sew into the head. It's time for a mediocre tutorial. I started each pom-pom by taking 3 fingers and wrapping yarn around them about 100 times, and then I just kind of shoved that entire mess off of my hand and onto the table, all while trying to keep its shape. I took another piece of yarn and I tied it around the whole thing in the center, pulling it really tight, and then I got my scissors and I put them in all the little loops and cut them, and ta-da, a really lazy, awful pom-pom. I took all the pom-poms and sewed them into the head in a C-shaped pattern. I had to Google balding man top view and then balding man side view to figure out what the hell I was doing. Here he is with his hair. Not very much of it, but he's got some now. Next, I wanted to give him some clothes, so I dug out this napkin I had in my fabric bin. I got these stripes of red that match our guy's skin color, and I'm into the greens and browns. It pained me a little bit to cut it in half, but once I did, I folded the top down to make a big hem and sewed it. This shot is a little strange because I look like a sewing machine, but I also just look uncomfortable and confused the rest of the time because I have no pattern for the shorts and no clue what I'm doing. I did a bunch of stuff to it, and then all of a sudden I had a tiny pair of shorts. They came out pretty adorable, but the question is, do they fit our guy? I shoved him into the shorts feet first and then pulled them up and stuffed his body in. Surprisingly, they fit perfectly. They're not too loose and they're just snug enough to stay on while he's being picked up and carried around. I was a little nervous about this part, but it's time to paint. I was nervous because the face is so utterly f***ed up and I'm just supposed to fix it with paint. Can I do it? Well, I guess we'll see. One of the paints I'm using has a very distinct smell. It's that bright pink one. It smells exactly like the inside of the M&M store in Times Square. Like, spot on. The M&M store has this sickening aroma of stale chocolate, but it also smells sweet in a gross way at the same time. I don't really think I can come up with a better description than that. I painted the body with a pink wash, which was just watered down pink acrylic to give the body some highlights. Then I painted the whites of his eyes and went a little ballistic on his face. I put some red and brown around his mouth to make him look like he likes to eat bloody things. I have some ideas about what he likes to do, but they have to be heavily censored, and I can't even say them. There's a little sad face emoji in my script, and I'm not quite sure how to convey that, so sad face, I guess. Did some more to the face that I apparently didn't show you, and then it was on to the I can't say the word because my content will be sent off the face of the earth, but you see what I'm doing here. After all that was done, I took a Sharpie and gave him some body hair. Then I found this little chain in my studio, and I immediately knew it was his. Okay, I think that's it. He's officially done. He's adorable yet grotesque at the same time. He's a greasy yet lovable middle-aged guy. I signed my name on the back of his neck and called it a day.
Making this guy took me way longer than expected, but I think I like him. He's definitely given off creepy uncle vibes a little bit. Not sure how I feel about that, but I want you guys to put your name suggestions form in the comments and I'll pin my top 5. This week's band shoutout is gonna go to Death Island. They're a death metal band from Westchester County, and I was exhibiting artwork at one of their shows a little while ago, and they're really great. I put their Instagram and their Spotify in the description box below, so you can go check them out. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Make sure you comment because the algorithm is mean, and subscribe because I said so. Bye. Look at him and all his friends. They're so happy over there. Yep. So happy. So happy. Also, this guy's gonna be available for adoption at some point. Yeah. Woo.